So I'm often asked, what do I do in therapy and how do I do it and what's the process and what's the goal and what's happening there. And actually it's pretty simple how I do it. There's actually three parts of it. The first part I would call religious part, or part where faith is essential, and that is that I strongly believe, and I'm very stubborn with that, I believe that every human being is perfect in their core. And that, experiences, parenting, social influences, all makes us feel detached from that core, and we don't feel good about ourselves. So what I try to cultivate and what I try to teach my clients to develop unconditional positive regard, unconditional positive acceptance. And this is the beginning. Now the problem is that there's really a few persons that really come to therapy with this goal. What they usually come is two different reasons. First reason is usually they accept themselves that something is wrong with them, but they are looking for help to adapt to that. So to develop some skills or the ways to avoid pain and misery living with their shortcomings. The other kinds, and there's a lot of them too, they don't come actually to be helped in changing anything, but they ask confirmation. They want to be recognized that something is wrong with them, that they cannot be loved, or they cannot be successful, or they cannot be connected in society, and they ask confirmation from me that that's the true. So they actually are searching for a peace that would come from surrendering to their deficiency. So now, because all of this, I don't expect from myself to be anything else, and people should let me be who I am. So basically my therapy process usually starts as a conflict between me, who see a jewel in them, who see wonderfulness, who see potentials, and them who will resist actually to believe me. So what I do then, I just ask them to talk about their lives and about themselves, and they will then give me a lot of examples that will support and prove that something is wrong with them. And then what I do is I usually use cognitive therapy, challenging Socratic questioning. I will challenge an inquiry and use a lot of logic to see that their thoughts about themselves are really what's wrong with them, not what really is wrong with them. And it might take weeks or months or years when they really clean a lot of layers and layers, self-deception that divide them for wonderful core that they have. And believe me, in my 30 years of working this job, I never find a person who is consistent to come to therapy with me that will not come at least too close to realize wonderfulness in themselves. And if we do that, if we come to the point where a lot of that, what was bothering them before, now was recognized just as a bad or a negative story. Then there is a third phase, and that's the moment when we really start to, after we realize who they are not, we start really to investigate who they are. And that's where I love Gestalt therapy, where I love being present with them, listening to them. And that's actually the process where our clients work much more than in a second time, where I'm very active, confronting, reframing, asking questions, challenging their views. Here I'm more with my presence, letting them to dance different possibilities and to explore who they really are. And that's one of the best processes I really like. That's basically a short story how I do therapy.
Before you finish, can you tell us about how you wrap up? What completes that process?
Well, that's an interesting question, because usually I know when therapy is not finished is when a client comes and I think, I'm done, I don't need anymore. It's usually a signal that they are avoiding something. And what sometimes happens is when we really do the process of therapy well, then they discover all the possibilities of development, self-knowing, self-development, maturing. And they start to love therapy and they say, I could do this forever. I usually suggest, I think we are ready to stop here, because now you know how to ask questions, how to investigate. You seem courageous enough to go in life and knowing yourself better in real life situations. That's usually when I call it, it's the end of the therapy.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.